Joe talks about Joe. And now, your host, Joe Slepsky.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Joe on Joe. It's me, your host, Joe Slepsky. We're back this week with G.I. Joe number 129, A Real American Hero. That's right, it's Joe and Joe Illustrated time, where we break down each issue of the comic book page by page, panel by panel, in excruciating detail. I say excruciating because I appreciate everyone listening to the show. You guys mean so much to me. And welcome aboard any new listeners. We've been doing this for, 7 years, 6 years, something like that. Yeah, I think 6 years, going on 7. We're working on our 7th or something like that. And I say we, I mean me. And but you know, we've covered all of the cartoons. We've covered all the Sunbow, all the DIC. We've covered Extreme. I think I have a feeling we're probably just going to run through A Real American Hero, then jump back to some of the more modern cartoons. I say modern, I'm talking about like Spy Troops and stuff, which is not that modern. I watched it recently, and it's a lot of fun, and it really does play like an old school episode of G.I. Joe, but like you know, obviously the animation is like woof, but early good. Like you guys have heard me from the comic book perspective. You guys have heard me talk about like Batman Digital Justice and those early digital comic books, and how like they don't stand up visually, but they're amazing landmarks in the advancement of the form and things like that. So we won't spend too much time on that now, but I did watch them. I did watch Spy Troops last week to kind of get in the mood of doing animated episodes again with guests and stuff like that. So I appreciate everyone staying along. I also appreciate everyone listening. If you're on a podcatcher somewhere, give me a rate and a review. That would be amazing. Whatever it takes. I don't know, whatever review system you're on, the more reviews, the merrier. That means the algorithm shows it to more people and the show grows, etc. and so on and so forth. You can also find me at Joe and Joe Pod on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can send me an email to joeandjoepod@gmail.com. I'm hearing more and more from listeners on that front, and it's really great to hear from you guys and hear how you're listening to the show. A lot of people listen when they're working, when they're walking their dogs, things like that. Some do the read-alongs. Like this whole show is built around read-along, watch-along. I'm like that, you know, that deep-throated, obnoxious neighbor in your ear that wants to read the comic book with you, and you just want to be left alone. That's me. We also want you, while you guys are on the internet, I want you to check out our fabulous sponsor that helps keep the show afloat, which is the Movies and a Meal podcast. Listeners, I know what you need in your life. You need more podcasts, and you also love movies. So why not do a podcast that's about not one movie, it's about not 2 movies, it's about 3 movies and a meal. I'm talking the Movies and a Meal podcast. This show is great. It's brought to you by Keith, Brad, and Ben, and each week they bring a new movie to the table, which they all discuss as a group. And it's not, you know, your highfalutin movies. It's What We Do in the Shadows, The Fantastic Four, Rise of the Silver Surfer, and Out of Sight. You know, it's Bad Education, Ghost Rider, and A View to a Kill. It's X-Men Last Stand, Queen Sugar, The Mandalorian, and Major League 2. They are a lot of fun to listen to. You guys know Ben. It's our friend Ben Pensarga. He was a guest on Joe and Joe. In fact, Ben was the very first remote guest that I ever had on this podcast, so he's always got a special place in my heart. I'm really digging this. I just started listening to it last week. It is a lot of fun. They bring a guest in. The guest, I listened to their Heathers episode. They were joined by Kelly, and she went in depth on her favorite movie, which was Heathers, and it made me want to go watch Heathers to watch with them. I really dig it. So guys, find them out there at Movies and a Meal, Twitter, Instagram. Their website is moviesandameal.podbean.com. They put out 1 episode a week. Give them a listen, guys. Support them. Let them know Joe on Joe sent you. I don't think you're going to be disappointed. It is quite entertaining. And now back to the show. Now, Movies and a Meal they're just half the battle, right? The other half of that float battle, you guys know what it is. It's our Patreon. We got patreon.com/Joe and Joe Pod. Go there, and you can help support the show directly. For just a couple of bucks a month, you can get access to the original 50 of Joe and Joe Illustrated. So that's all the issues of G.I. Joe, Real American Hero, the comic book. You can listen to all those. Plus, it's got every other episode of the show we've ever done, including Cold Slither, including My Favorite Ninja, or My Special Missions. What did we end up calling it? We called it My Special Missions, which is our take on My Favorite Murder, but all about the murder of the Softmaster. That's a fun parody. I really enjoyed that one that we did with Rebecca and Lizzie and Alex as Xandar. And yeah, and we've got another fun project that's coming up. That's right. And I say we because this is a family collaboration. I've been driving all over LA and working with people remotely to get the audio tracks nailed down for our next big project, which is a part of Cobra Convergence 6, which is all July, where all your favorite Joe podcasts and YouTube channels are taking over the airwaves with Cobra content. So I've got something special whipped up for you. I just recorded my second main lead the other day. It was so great. He nailed it. That's all the hints I'm going to give you, but we're getting more and more every day. I'm getting it's slowly. It's like a it's like a puzzle being built, and all the pieces, like all the corners are in and the edges are in, and so now the little pieces are filling in place, and you're starting to say, oh, it is a picture of a school boat, or it's a schooner. It's not a schooner, dummy. It's a sailboat. So that's all coming together, and I'm really excited for that. We even reached out to our friend Mike Irizarry from What's on Joe Mind. He's making an appearance on the show. That's right. It's a big crossover. It's a big surprise. So it's going to be a lot of fun. So thank you guys for listening and appreciating all that stuff. The other thing I got, which was fun this weekend, I was at Golden Apple Comics, and a customer brought in their Hasbro promotional kit. I know if you guys are Joe fans, you've seen on the internet, everyone's been getting their promo kit from Hasbro. Hey, Hasbro, hashtag Joe on Joe, where's my promo kit? I'm just kidding. I'm not that thirsty for that stuff, although it would be fun to get one. But we had a customer who was a good customer and a friend of the store, and he brought in some stuff. So I got my hands on those products. Those are very, very cool. The store has most of them, I think. I was able to procure for myself the Crocmaster. So I've got my Crocmaster in hand. I was able to cancel that order, and he looks great. I really love the Baby Croc. But I saw all the other ones. The Storm Shadow looks amazing. The Spirit is really, really well done. The Spirit Classified, you guys, when you get your hands on your Spirit Classified, you're going to love it. It also had the Baroness Classified cardback version, the newer cardback one. She looked great. My friend Jeremiah Stafford, friend of the show, he asked how it compares to the motorcycle one, and I had to be honest, I haven't looked at the motorcycle one. She's still in the package for me. So I haven't really looked at her in quite a while. So I can't give you guys a comparison, but I do know that she looked great. The card, they look really big on the card. It's a little jarring because you're used to seeing the carded ones so small, but she looked really, really good. So everything in that box was great. It also had a Pythonized Viper, had a ninja sword, a couple of pieces of promo swag. I think, and also had the 2-pack, the Cobra Officer 2-pack. That was in there as well. And that's the 3 3/4 2-pack. So, and that pack was still sealed, so there really wasn't much to look at there. The box itself was a little crushed from shipping too. So, but my Crocmaster is awesome. I really dig them. So you fellow Joe creators out there who were lucky enough to get one of those Hasbro promo kits, awesome. Good on you. They're really great. One quick perusal of eBay, and you'll see that 90% of you are quickly flipping those. So that was hilarious. But hey, you do what you do. Hey, I'm not gonna judge. Speaking of eBay, yeah, I don't know. No, speaking of eBay, I got an eBay store. There's some fun stuff up on there now. If you guys are Transformers fans, I've been selling a lot of Transformers on my store. It's Joe on Joe. What is it? eBay. I guess this is more of a product sell. I didn't really mean it that way. But JOJ Comics and more. JOJ Comics and more over on eBay. Yeah, I got a lot of Transformers. If you guys are Transformers fans, a whole bunch of Transformers. We've been selling for the last month or so. So go on there, check it out. No big deal. All right, enough shill. It's time to get into the show.
You were saying?
I was saying, Stalker. And this is our segment for you newbies where we look at comic books that were on the shelf the same month of release as the comic book in question. So today we're talking G.I. Joe 129. That was cover dated October of 1992. Means it was probably on the shelf around July. We still need to. We lost. There was a shift or something. Either we lost track or they shifted gears on us. So somewhere along the way. So I have to go back and kind of refigure that out. And we do that via contextual clues. I don't trust any web pages at this point because the Marvel database absolutely is now starting to include Malibu comics and things like that, which were not, not published by Marvel, but are now owned by Marvel. So, for example, this month, Arrow from Malibu Comics is listed under the Marvel database. And it's like, it wasn't put out there. But anyway, so where we're at with that is there's a good crossover book with Punisher and Captain America's Blood and Glory. I think it's D.G. Chichester, but it's Klaus Janson too. And D.G. Chichester was the writer. Or Chichester? I don't know, but he did a bunch of Daredevil back in the day too, is what I recall. And Klaus Janson. Klaus Janson's inks, I think his inks over other pencilers works the best because the other pencilers bring a softer humanity to the figures. But when you do get Klaus Janson just drawing on his own, he's brilliant and he's great. But his figures take this otherworldly look, this really like block, like they're kind of like action figures, like they're stock pieces that are moving in the piece in the direction that he wants to pose them, you know what I mean? So we're talking action figures, G.I. Joe. That's how I've always looked at Klaus Janson's drawings. Like when it's just his stuff, he's got this very action figure look to it, which should be appealing to Joe fans. But there's not a lot of fluidity to his drawings. When you merge him with Frank Miller, and that's kind of like block on block, which is some kind of amazing, synthesis. But if you have him do some other creators that are a little more fluid, that really brings a strong energy to it. In this case, it's Klaus is like, he's the primary driver on it. And I've read this miniseries. It's great. It's a lot of fun. I'm a big Klaus Janson guy, and that's what I look for. It's kind of like modern day equivalent, how the modern day version of John Romita Jr. draws, where his stuff is just so posable and so posed in almost every panel that he does, but not posed in a bad way, not posed in like I'm posing for the camera way, posed in a very rigid, that character has been in that pose for 5 minutes before that picture was taken. You know what I'm saying? That's what I mean by like pose, not necessarily like the old image. Here's a splash page and we're all jumping out the front page for you because it's awesome. That's not what I mean. More of like just stock. Like it's like they're literally posing for a camera. So anyway, the Captain Britain Autumn Special, which I'm assuming was part of the Marvel UK line. I was a big Excalibur fan, and I recently got the Captain Britain Omnibus, which I recommend to everybody. Captain Britain stories are really good. The early ones are funny because they're so British and they're so superhero-y and they're wild. And then Alan Moore came on and he made them trippy and Alan Moore-y. And then Alan Davis and Chris Claremont came on and they brought it back a little bit more towards the Marvel Universe section. And I've just always enjoyed Captain Britain. I just pulled out one of my earliest trades that I ever had was the Captain Britain, the Alan Davis and Jamie Delano trade that Marvel put together, and it was real early. It was like 1988. This isn't even a second printing, and it was just such great stuff. And Alan Davis's artwork obviously is amazing, but it was like it felt Marvel, but it also wasn't because it just felt British and felt different than all the other UK or like the American Marvel comics were at the time. So yeah, so get that Captain Britain Omnibus. I really recommend it. It's really, really great stuff. There's also 4 books here that not only am I not familiar with them, I don't know that I've ever seen these in the thousands of back issues that I've kind of processed working over at Golden Apple Comics over in Melrose and La Brea in Los Angeles. Check out the website, buy some stuff online. It's called Dinosaurs Celebration. And it was done knowing that Jurassic Park was going to be dropping the next year, so that's probably why they did a project like this. I don't know anything about this. I've never seen these books, but it was definitely put up by Marvel under the Epic imprint, and yeah, I honestly don't know anything about it. It's got Kev Walker did the art, Graham Marks. Well, actually, Kev Walker did the cover. Graham Marks was the writer. Jeff Senior was the penciler. I don't know anything about this. And 4 issues came out. It was weekly. They all came out in the same month. I'm wondering if this was some kind of special, maybe that was done for for some kind of museum piece or something. I don't know. It's strange. It's strange that I've never seen a lot of the stuff I've seen. You know, I may not have, but there's a familiarity to it. And that one just doesn't ring any bells at all. It looks interesting though. Infinity War is almost wrapping up. That's on number 5. Again, always the reminder: Infinity War the comic book is not Infinity War the movie. Don't get it twisted, because you won't like the output. It's Morbin time. Morbius the Living Vampire issue number 2 is on. With it's an awkwardly bad cover, in my opinion. Who drew that? We're gonna find out. I don't mean to publicly shit. Ron Wagner. Ron, you've done better covers. I don't know if they're trying to get across that he's inhuman. I guess that's what they're going for. But it's not a good looking face of Morbin time. That really worked. They really re-released Morbius. That is fascinating to me. It is absolutely fascinating that they thought they really had a hit on their hands. Again, I want to shake somebody. Anyway, Night Thrasher for Control, FOUR Control number 1. That's a Night Thrasher miniseries off of his success in the New Warriors. They gave him a 4. It's always one of the dumbest subtitles for a miniseries I could ever possibly imagine. I don't know why. I feel like maybe they needed it for copyright's sake, why they needed to slap a name on it, but For Control is just stupid. I never liked it. The miniseries is fine, but that name always bothered me. Like, that's the library name you're going with? That's the name we're going to have to remember for the rest of our days as Night Thrasher fans? Thor is part of a Citizen Kang crossover. And this is, again, one of the annuals. Remember, we were talking about annual crossovers where DC was doing the full-on line-wide annual with Eclipso, and Marvel was doing like 4 issues, like little mini crossovers. And this one is centered around Kang the Conqueror. And, of course, it's Fantastic Four. It's Thor. Who else is a part of it? Oh, Captain America and Avengers, I think, are the 4 parts. I think that's the film. But that Kang is important because he's going to be a big player in the next iteration of the Marvel movies. So keep your eye on that. But those are 4 fun ones to make a note of. And I think that's it from Marvel Comics.
You were saying?
Oh, and of course, G.I. Joe 129. I mean, of course, it goes without saying. Over at DC Comics, Batman Comics, Detective Comics. 2 cool, a lot of cool books, actually. Batman Adventures number 1. This is the adaptation of the animated series. This is the first issue of it. This book sat in the $/quarter bins forever, and recently has gained steam. I think as the generation that really grew up with that, as their seminal Batman now are older, they're starting to put their collections together. In this specific book, I believe it came a version of it came polybag too. This specific book has been getting a little more expensive. It's certainly not as expensive as, the first Harley Quinn. So we're not talking that, but $20, $30 kind of a thing. There was also a Mask of the Phantasm version or adaptation. That's also a little climbing the charts, so to speak. But this is always a fun book. I've always wanted to get together a collection of these. There were so it was Batman Adventures, then it was Batman and Robin Adventures. I'm talking about the comic books. And then that became Batman Gotham Adventures. So there's 3 or 4 iterations of the animated series adaptations. I probably have maybe 40% of them, I think. The Superman ones, I have a full collection of. That I really like too. There's a really great run of Mark Millar stuff in the Superman animated adaptations where he just went on a tear and did I think almost 2 years worth of stories. Maybe it was 12. It's something like 15 or something stories that Miller wrote that were really, really good. It's kind of what got him into the business. But in general, all those Superman stories are really great. And the same thing with these Batman. These Batman adventure stories are just perfect. They're distilled. They're really great. Get in, get out. DC's done a nice job of keeping them in trade, so they're all available on trade and stuff. So if you have kids or if you just want to revisit it yourself, it's really easy to do it. They're really awesome. They're the perfect distillation of Batman. Without any of the baggage of any continuity or paying any kind of attention to anything. Batman Annual 16. It's got a great Sam Keith Joker cover where he's like cracking open a door. It's got a little, it's got a little shining feel to it. And you've seen this image because it's just this. It's obvious that it's Joker, but it's an overly exaggerated comic booky version, semi Sam Keith, so you get that vibe. But the other big book I wanted to mention was Batman Night Cries. And if memory serves, this is the book about children being like abducted and child abuse and things like that. Like, so it was written by Archie Goodwin and pencils by Scott Hampton. Scott Hampton did the cover too. And it's like painted. When I say pencils, it's more of a painted thing. It's a really strong story. Yeah. And Goodwin wrote it like the whole idea was to bring light to the idea of child abuse, and not that kind of arm's length stranger danger child abuse, but like the fact that the kid next door could be being abused, like it can happen in your backyard, in your home, kind of a thing. I don't know how successful it was as far as the reach goes, but it's a great story. Archie Goodwin, if you're not familiar with him, he's primarily known as an editor, but his writing is always spot on fabulous. He's one of the best creative minds in comic books in our generation. He died way too soon. He died in the mid 90s. I think he was in like his early 60s. But he was still young enough to where he still probably had a good 20 years of work left in him of creativity. He shepherded things like Starman, and he wrote the Star Wars comic strip. He did a lot of comic strip stuff with Archie Goodwin and I'm thinking Alec Raymond. Gosh, hold on. I'm gonna have a brain bleed here. Al Williamson. I paused the show, and then I immediately jumped in my head. Al Williamson. Yeah, he did Star Wars it was Archie Goodwin and Al Williamson, and those newspaper strips are great. And just Goodwin was awesome, and he was the editor on for most of Simonson's work. He edited Manhunter for Simonson, and he just shepherded a lot of great stuff. And then I think he passed in '96, just way too soon, because he just was a talent. So he's a name I don't think a lot of people know. It's not one of those names that just jumps to mind. But whenever you hear him, especially when you hear like an old veteran of the comic industry they talk about him like great guy, hushed tones, like that was the real champion. Batman Sword of Azrael, #1. This is the first appearance of Azrael, everybody. Azrael, who has gone on to fame, infamy. He was the replacement Batman. This is the Joe Quesada drawn miniseries that introduced just kind of this weird dude who lived in this, I don't say Christian, but like this religious Catholic, like it was the Order of Saint Dumas. This religion that just was dedicated to, I forget what, but something. And they introduce him here in Azrael as just a character that Batman comes across, and it's like, oh, you're a crime fighter too, okay, and take you under my wing. And then sure enough, 6 months later, they made him the new Batman, and he was just too savage and all that stuff. So you guys know that Batman story. But Sword of Azrael #1, that's on the shelf this month. So that's the first appearance. Dark Stars #1 is on the shelf. This is a book. I want to say Travis Charis did the art. I think that's his cover work. No, I'm sorry, Larry Stroman. Larry Stroman art. Yeah, Larry Stroman did the artwork for this. Dick Giordano was the editor. I didn't know that. This was such a great idea and a long time coming. And I think this is the idea that kind of led to our ability to have things like Blackest Night and, the multi-spectrum thing. Even though I know, the Yellow Ring existed already. But this was saying, just because we have Green Lanterns doesn't mean that there can't be other intergalactic cops. So it gave these suits, power suits, to other intergalactic cops. They were set up as good guys, but opposite of Green Lanterns. Like, so they were at odds with Green Lanterns, but they were also good guys in and of themselves, which I think is just a dynamite idea. Of course, the Darkstar suit would later be used as the basis of the suit for the Mark Andreyko Manhunter series. So if you've ever seen his Manhunter, the Los Angeles district attorney Manhunter, the lady, I forget what her name was, Kate Spencer, her basic suit was a Darkstar suit that she took from lockup or something like that. But I love the idea. It ran for maybe a little over a year, and then the idea did pop up for years. It lasted for a while. Donna Troy became a Dark Star. The idea still exists, so it's out there, and they keep doing. I think Warren Ellis just did something with Dark Stars in that when he was running Green Lantern for a couple of years, or I'm sorry, Grant Morrison rather, when he was running Green Lantern for a couple of years. So I think Dark Stars are still being used. They're still in continuity, and I really, really like the idea. So Dark Stars #1 was out at that time, same month. So Eclipso, The Darkness Within, the Eclipso crossover, that wrapped up with issue #2 this month, which then I believe next month leads us into Eclipso #1, which was like a short-lived, year-long lived actual series about Eclipso that followed a group of adventures, also included one of the biggest slaughters in DC history. But we'll get there. So Hawkworld #27. If you guys are fans of the Patriot show, Peacemaker show. You guys like Peacemaker? The character that Peacemaker's father plays, the White Dragon, who's a terrible racist and, you know, just a bad dude all around. This is his first appearance. He shows up in Hawkworld and is an adversary for them. And they used him, and this was, what's his name? Terminator. Sean Patrick? Guy who played Terminator. Anyway, Peacemaker's dad. He's the White Dragon. This is his first appearance in Hawkworld #27. It's not a good. I mean, there is good classic. There's good stuff at DC, but then this is also a real meat era for me. This is a real era as I was branching out and reading a lot of different stuff. So a lot of the stuff is bringing back memories. Man of Steel #16, I think, is him dealing with domestic abuse, if memory serves. And we're just 2 months away from the first appearance of Doomsday. So that's exciting. So Death of Superman is right around the corner. So get ready for that. So yeah, we've got a lot of good stuff popping over at DC Comics.
You were saying?
I was, and now.
Now, mass is ready.
And we're gonna roll into G.I. Joe #129. So we start with a great cover. It's a good cover. It definitely pops. It's the G.I. Joe Battle Wagon with the Joes on. Everyone's screaming. This is falling back on that. I've mentioned this before. I'm not a massive fan of the Wildman everyone screams mouth that he gave everybody, because everyone on this cover is screaming at the exact same time and doing the exact same thing if you look real close. But I'm not a fan of the colors chosen on this. It's the cover just looks kind of goopy. But it's got some powerful elements to it. It's got the breakout 3D over the logo, which is always fun. That gives a pop to the vehicle. It's definitely showcasing the vehicle, you know, for toy purposes. That's for sure. And that's really what you want, right? So it's showcasing the vehicle. It's got a couple characters. They're fighting somebody. We don't exactly know who. You got Sweet Snake Eyes in the corner, just because he's, you know, that's their moneymaker at the time. Yeah, so it's not my favorite cover, but it's certainly not the worst thing I've ever seen. You know, you get what they're going for. This would definitely pop off a page. It really would. And if you're a kid who either had this vehicle or wanted this vehicle, this would be a moment of going, oh man, I got to get that.
Yo, Joe!
Which is a little bit jumping ahead to next week. It's kind of the same thing, but they're doing the same thing with Vipers of like, oh yeah, you need to get these Vipers. Anyway, so it's called Standoff. Larry Hama script, Andrew Wildman pencils. We got Stephen Baskerville on inks, and it's a different ink style, and I think it shows. I think it's good in some cases. It's a little hatchier in others, but I think it's good. I think it brings a nice life to it. Bob and Claire. Oh wait. Bob and Claire on colors. Bob and Claire. So whoever those two, yeah, they're the colors. And then Rick Parker is letters, and David Wall is editor, and Tom DeFalco is editor-in-chief. So this whole issue is actually a really good Lady J issue as far as action goes. It's not a lot of you can't really say there's a lot of character development in this whole issue. really. But Lady Jaye takes the spotlight as being someone capable and someone who can handle her stuff, which is great. So remember, Hawk got shot. She's holding Hawk, and she's trying to get him to safety. Now they're in Borovia. Remember, they went into the main town in order to secure passage for the rest of the Joes who were hanging out at the rock quarry after they had narrowly escaped Destro's castle, which feels like an eternity ago. And we're doing these weekly, so it just feels like an eternity ago. So I gotta say, the overall effect here for me is a lot of treading water. But the good news is this does wrap up some of that.
Yo, Joe!
At least this part of it, this with the Joes stuck in Borovia. Oh, that's right. They're in Krogdinsk. You pronounce it Krogdnsz or HSZ. What is that? That is an N. I don't know how to pronounce it, but go ahead. That's where they're at. And remember, they were joined by the White Queen and Magda and the White Clown. So they're in the soccer stadium, and they're dragging Hawk out. They're trying to get everybody to safety. I like that they have Lady Jaye here saying, negative thinking is the first step towards giving up White Clown or whatever your name is. Because, yeah, we know White Clown, but she's never met him. Hawk's never met him. It's funny, though, if you look closely, her hand's right in his butt. It's funny. I don't know why. I'm a child. It makes me laugh. But, yeah, lots of bullets flying. And just there's a lot of, there's a little catching up on where we're at. They need to make their way to the street. Yeah, so it's just a lot of action. There's just starting with action, which is good. That's what you want out of a comic book.
Yo, Joe!
Lady Jaye is mowing people down. Absolutely mowing people down. I don't know where she's keeping all the ammo. I don't know where she's reloading. But there's a lot of people that are getting it from her gun, and she's doing a great job. I mean, she's shoulder carrying Hawk. Like, that is he's a big dude. He's probably 230? Easy. And she's got him over her shoulders, and she's running I don't know what kind of rifle that is, but it looks like a mini Madus kind of a thing. So she's doing a great job. But they do get stopped though, because there's a tank on the outside of the stadium. Now this panel, so storytelling wise, Wildman does a great job. He chooses really nice angles. He makes good choices about camera placement and how to get us from point A to point B in the storyline. Zooms in on Lady Jaye falling, things like that. But you get scenes like this panel here, and it's the acting in the face that I think is always one of the things. It's one of the hallmarks of Trouble in this entire Image era. It's not just him, but the style and a lot of the image at the time. If they weren't extremely agitated, there wasn't a lot of nuance on faces. And look at this panel as a good example. The White Clown, Magda, and Hawk, they all look like they're about to slip into a coma. And their jaws are all slack. Hawk doesn't look like he's been shot in the chest, which he has been. He looks like he's like kind of drowsy. Magda looks like she's about to fall asleep. It gets that kind of like facial acting that I think, and it's a hallmark of the era, and it's a hallmark of the style. So I'm not saying he wouldn't have been capable of doing other stuff. This is kind of what was in vogue at the time, but it's that open mouth, extreme look faces instead of maybe going for the most extreme look. Go for the look that conveys the best emotion there, and there's that's part of what I don't see in this run of G.I. Joe. That's probably the best I can explain it.
Yo, Joe!
This is the page when I realized, we have a different inker here. This middle panel with Hawk, that the hatchiness in that middle panel with Hawk. That's when I realized, I need to go back and double check who's inking this, because it's just a lot scratchier. It's kind of Terry Austin-esque. Terry Austin was known for a lot of like very hatchy stuff, and then when you combine him with Byrne, who's more of a lush, painterly style pencils, you get a nice balance when you get on the X-Men. But sometimes when you have someone who's style, I would consider Wildman a thinner lined, hatchier style of pencils, when you get those matched up with a hatchy inking, you get a lot. You get just a lot of, like it could use some darker inks. It could use some heavier lines in places. Not to say it's bad. It's just a preference thing. So this is something that stands out for me here. I noticed it on his face in this middle panel, but he seems to be getting his second wind. And he basically says, give me a gun and we're going back. So what they're doing is, let me just double check this. Yeah, he said on the previous page, sorry, skip that. He says, generals get to sit on security briefings. The lower ranks never get wind of. He knows the secrets about the stadium, but they have to get back onto the soccer field to make use of it. So while they had gotten safety in one of the tunnels, they have to go back to the stadium in order to do it. This panel here, this top right one with the rat-a-tat-tat on the top, that's as imagey and as superhero-y of a panel as you're ever going to see in G.I. Joe, where it's just all speed lines. There's no, there's smoke on the feet, and it's just everyone charging in speed line, which is about as far into that category as I like to see my G.I. Joe.
Yo, Joe!
Got a couple pages of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle ads here. And we go back to more firefighting. It's literally just a lot of firefighting, this whole issue. There's not a ton of, moment-to-moment action. So while they're making their way towards the goal, and it's fun, this is a real fun line. It says, the goal is our goal. Hawks is to start digging dead center. So I don't know how they're avoiding getting shot here. That's the one thing. It's like I feel like they just would all be shot. There are other soldiers in that place, but they're keeping them buttoned down. A near endless supply of ammunition from Lady Jaye, apparently. And they're using their hands to dig through the center of the goal. And there's a tank outside waiting for them.
Yo, Joe!
So the tank got through, but as it did, it collapsed the tunnel because it was just a little too big for the tunnel. So it kind of broke the walls. So you could imagine, so it allowed a tank into the stadium, but nothing else could get in. The only thing with that is, there's so many openings to a stadium, even a third world crazy stadium like this. There's got to be other ways to get in. It's weird to me that just tank would then block anyone else from getting through. But we also get introduced here to an American TV crew on the field. I don't know. Did we meet these guys last time? I don't remember meeting them before. This seems like a out of nowhere inclusion. Oh, wait. No. That's not true. I take that back. They were on TV. That's how the Joes saw that she was captured. I take that all back. They were used previously, so they're not just out of the blue. So I apologize for that. There was a funny line here, though, referencing, 1992. Guy says, I want footage hot enough to preempt Studs. If you guys remember the TV show Studs, oh boy, I sure do. Dating game Mark something or other. Boy, was that show terrible. But yeah, Studs was a thing. And Roadblock's heading their way, or actually we're at Roadblock's on their way, and they're in the battle wagon. But we get a transition here to remind us that it's not just about the guys in the stadium. We got Roadblock in the battle wagon that's on their way towards downtown, and he's talking to Wild Bill, who's in a helicopter with a lifeline and stretcher. They're in a Tomahawk, which you learn.
Yo, Joe!
Next page, we see the Tomahawk. So it's a fun reveal. Usually you'd put where he's at earlier, but if you know Wild Bill, you know he's flying something. So it's a nice reveal that you got a Tomahawk chopper on the way. From what I can see, though, they did only draw one rotor on the Tomahawk. It seems like the rear rotor was forgotten in this picture, and it's just got the afterburner and the the directional stabilizer. But that second rotor seems to be missing. I wonder, let's fast forward a little bit while I'm thinking about it. Did they include it in other drawings? So that one only has, it's got the second rotor, but it only also has one rotor. So I'm not sure if they did include both rotors in any of these pictures. Bum, 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 bum. Well, that's interesting. So I have no evidence that shows that they know it has two rotors. Oh, there it is. Boom. Page 15. Two rotors. Okay. It's just missing on this one. Anyway, not a big deal. But we see that they're on their way in. Roadblock and those guys, the reason we include the TV crew is Roadblock's still watching on TV what's happening in the stadium. So that's how he and his gang with the battle wagon, they know to head to the stadium.
Yo, Joe!
So Larry's very good with all this stuff. He knows why things are happening. So usually if I'm like, I don't know why that's happening, there's usually a really good reason. And in this case, that would be why he set it up, and we get TV crews. And so therefore then, that's how the Joes know to go to the stadium. So now the Magda and the White Clown are digging. They don't know what it is. We don't know what it is too. And this is a fun narrative trick too that Larry's, I say trick, it's a tool that Larry's using is Hawk doesn't say what it is as much for us as it is for them. Because we don't know. Is it a bazooka? Is it a this? Like, what could possibly be underneath this goal? And it's, you know what it's akin to? It is very much like that bit that South Park did some parody on, where Cartman's like, I don't have time to tell you, hurry, come with me. And then they go, like, they spend 40 minutes crossing the town. They're like, why are we doing this? He's, I don't have time to tell you, just come with me. And 40 minutes later, he easily could have told them what was going on. And that's kind of what he hears with what they're doing with this. We just got to dig it up. Why? I don't have time to tell you, just dig it up. If I told you, it would waste too much time.
Yo, Joe!
And there was a bunker or a vault or something in the bottom of it. And now Hawk says to Magda, speak to the tank crew, and he tells her what to say. But again, because we want, like, you're doling out the story in pieces, right? So in the first panel, he just says, this is what you have to say. Then we cut to those guys getting ready to fire, and we never see what Hawk tells her. We just hear it straight from her mouth. So this is a classic trick. You see this all the time in movies. You know, and so, you know, where it's like, and so I need you to tell him, and then they cut to the person telling the other person, you know, get out of Dodge, blah, 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 blah. And, you know, so it just cuts to Magda saying, you know, don't shoot, we can make a deal. This is the chance of your lifetime. So your lifetime being the tank guys. So what could this possibly be?
Yo, Joe!
Meanwhile, the Joes are making their way in. The truck they're on can't get through that collapsed doorway into the stadium, apparently the only doorway into the stadium. But the battle wagon can. So it kind of goes over the debris and kind of, you know, four-wheel drives it over, and they see that as they get there, and again, this is dragging out the suspense for us. Because now we're in the point of view of the other Joes, and we see that tank that we were previously negotiating with is now shooting its main cannon. So to us, that he easily could be shooting at Hawk and Jaye and the Clown and Magda. He could be doing that. Like this is Larry's way to take a very simple reveal, going back. Wow, this is really fun. Going back. Whoa. So it starts on page 3. And he drags out the mystery of what Hawk knows is underneath that for 10 pages, guys. He drags it out for 10 pages, leaving us with the final one being thinking that they're getting fired on by a tank cannon at close range. But as the smoke clears,
Yo, Joe!
We get an ad for Mile High Comics. As the smoke clears, we go... Wait a minute. Hold on. No. I'm sorry. My page is stuck together. I thought he was cutting away. No. We see that Hawk is still alive, and we see that Lady Jaye is alive, and we see that tank, it blew open an underground buried vault with a bunch of gold bullion. And now we're getting to the nitty gritty of it. The tankers are like, they see how much gold is there, and they're like, well, we want more than one gold bar apiece. And the Joes are, basically, and what I love here is Roadblock basically points his gun at them. They're no longer in their tank. He says, hit the Roadski, which is, is a Polish guy named Slepski. I appreciate that. And I like to think that they did give them one bar each as per the agreement. They didn't just tell them go scratch. So they were good to the one bar agreement, but the rest of it is important because
Yo, Joe!
That's going to go back to the people of Borovia. So now they've kind of got this area cleared out and there's no more fighting. So the Tomahawk lands, and Magda, or Hawk tells Magda that The gold, the satellite saw the gold get buried by the former communist leaders. It was looted from the treasury. It belongs to the people of Borovia. So it's going to be up to Magda to make sure that all that wealth goes back to the people. So that's really good. You like to see things like that. It shows you that even in this world of, a lot of times the real politic of things is that countries do stuff to, that can screw over some of the native people. You still get this sense of G.I. Joe being on the right side of that conversation, right? So whether or not, you may agree with the U.S. government meddling in whatever affairs, this is Hawk stepping up and saying, yeah, but at least get this to the people, etc. So they say that there's not enough room for everybody. So all the able-bodied Joes are going to hoof it out. I'm going to throw this out there. I thought the Tomahawk was huge. The toy you could, I know you had to pull the seats out, but like you could fit a Silver Mirage in there. You could fit, I don't think you could fit a full Vamp, but you could fit, I remember you could fit the motorcycles. That was the whole thing. It had the backdoor ramp that dropped down and you could drive a vehicle up to it. How is there not enough room for more of these Joes? Because so they took the Joes that were injured. How many Joes were injured? Wasn't there 4? 1, 2, 3, 4. I feel like they only took Hawk. It's like, what? More obstacles. Nothing's ever easy.
Yo, Joe!
And that's my point. Nothing's ever easy. It's never just, all right, well, let's get in the airplane and go. So now they got to get out with Magda and get out of Borovia on their own, which is like, what's the point of sending that massive helicopter? Okay. But Hawk's, hey, everybody, Hawk's going to be okay. So meanwhile, over on Cobra Island, now this is fun. So now the story's going to shift. So we're going to leave the Borovians pretty much for the rest of the story. That's it. We're done with them. Like they're going to get out alive. We assume they're going to be fine. And now we're shifting back to, remember that ninja subplot that's also been dragging on for way too long. Firefly made a call to Cobra Commander to say, I'm going to trade you the location of the pit with all the schematics, etc. For, I forget, was it just money? I think he just said for money. So it turns out they steal a 747, a Trans-Carpathian 747 hijacked by Firefly, and they fly that to Cobra Island. So it's totally surrounded by Cobra paralyzers. They're not taking any chances. Cobra Commander does not trust Firefly because remember, Cobra Commander tried to kill Firefly.
Yo, Joe!
And you got a bunch of Techno Vipers. They're making their move onto the plane. But the cabin's totally empty. So if you recall, we were with Firefly, and Firefly he had the Joe Ninjas on a brainwave scanner, and he brainwashed them to follow his rules. So you would think they would still be with him here, but the plane's totally empty. They did infrared scans. It's like the stormtroopers in Star Wars. They scanned the Falcon, and there's no life signs aboard, so it must be a derelict ship, right? So there's no one else in this entire giant 747 that he hijacked. And he showed up unarmed and alone, as per the agreement. I like this final panel of like this close-up of Cobra Commander's face, offering his hand in gratitude. You can't trust those eyes. There's nothing. See, this is good act. Like this is good acting. This is good facial acting on the part of Wildman here. Because yes, there's an extended hand of friendship, but those eyes, you cannot trust those eyes. That's a good job.
Yo, Joe!
And Firefly's talking about how they haven't agreed on a price yet. Cobra Commander says, whatever you want. And rightfully so, Firefly calls it like, you're so quick to agree. That strikes me as someone who isn't ever going to pay for it. You did bury me alive, etc. and so on. So now Road Pig enters the picture, and Cobra Commander threatens him unless, he give me the goods, or, Road Pig's going to mess you up, kind of a thing. And so Cobra Commander's going to look at this information. So this whole thing,
Yo, Joe!
that Firefly is going through here, it has a wrap up where I go, okay, but to what end? But he gets taken advantage of and kind of stooged real easy in this. So the Techno Vipers, they look at his data, they review it, they actually confirm it that yeah, it seems pretty legit, and they throw him on a polygraph, which he has a great insult here for Road Pig. He says he could be his own team on Family Feud, because remember Road Pig has the multiple personalities. And Cobra Commander says, is this true? You're giving us, to best of your knowledge, the true location of the actual pit? And he says yes. And Techno Viper says, according to this, he's telling the truth.
Yo, Joe!
So that's enough for Cobra Commander. And then they compare all the data, and the data works. So now they're driving in a Cobra truck around Cobra Island. And they stop. They happen to be at the base of the mountain where previously Firefly was buried and left for dead. And this is the part where I go, what? Like, Road Pig throws him back into the pit. And they're going to weld it shut. So they're going to trap him once again in the pit. So there's a part of me that's like, why go all that trouble of, reigniting Firefly to just have him once again get tossed in the pit and taken over by Cobra Commander, etc. and so on. Not that I doubt Cobra Commander being a backstabber. But, we're always trying to rebuild and build up that Cobra inner circle, and we're really light on inner circle right now. So you have the ability to bring Firefly back in on a regular basis as a recurring character. And once again, we have Cobra Commander backstabbing him. Now, there's follow-up to that, and I don't remember exactly what happens next issue. So once again, like I said earlier, Larry probably has a plan for it. But initially, I got to be honest, I was reading this and I was like, you got to be kidding me. Like, he's backstabbing, like, it's predictable. Like, let's build that inner circle.
Yo, Joe!
Which now consists literally of, like, Cesspool, Zorana, and Road Pig. That's it. And because those were the primary toys, I guess, at the time that they want, as far as characters go. Not Vipers. Vipers notwithstanding. It's Cesspool and Zorana, which, okay. But Cobra Commander rolls up and he says, we're going to get the pit. Like, we're going back to Utah, and Zorana points out that we've kind of done that before. And Cobra Commander points out the difference this time. This time we're not going to trust the navigation equipment. We're going to trust our, the specs on this. Like, we're not going to be deceived. We're going into the pit. We're going to drop in on the Joes and murder them in their sleep with a glint in his eye. It's really great.
Yo, Joe!
And within the hour, true to his word, those Cobra attack copters are off and flying. They're heading to Utah to invade the United States. And on the airplane, the 747, we see, this is the part 2, I guess, of Firefly's plan, is that there's word balloons coming out of there saying, I must resume normal metabolism. I must arouse myself from the ninja trance known as the sleeping phoenix. Heartbeat, body temperature, respiration, all back to normal. So that was it. Storm Shadow put himself and all the other ninjas into the sleeping phoenix, which meant that the scans, and then they were hidden under the floor tiles of the airplane. So the scans for body temperature and body heat, things like that, heartbeats, those came to no end because they were essentially corpses on the plane. And so none of the Techno Vipers could detect that there were these 5 ninjas on the plane. So now it says, I must revive Snake Eyes. We must rescue Firefly.
Yo, Joe!
So that's when you go, how do they even know what happened to Firefly? Did Firefly just assume that he was going to get taken advantage of by Cobra Commander, which is probably the case and probably inaccurate? Like, that's a fair prediction. I'm not going to fault anyone for assuming that that's going to be the case. But yeah, that's a weird jump there. Like, so I wonder if Firefly planned for that. Well, he obviously planned for it in some way, but like, if his bigger plan, what is his bigger plan? Because why is he doing this? Is there something else on Cobra Island that he's there to get, under Cobra Commander's, like, did he leave something there that he needs to get, and maybe he needs Cobra Commander out of the way to get it. I don't know, and I don't remember, so I'm looking forward to finding out. But before that, we have one final page left, and it says much later in Utah, and it's the Quonset huts, which cover the entrance to the pit, where Spirit always kind of sits and meditates. He like goes into like his dream state, and they say it's more like a medicine place to be in touch with your dreams. When Spirit is dreaming, that's when he guards us the best. And how is that? I can't explain it. He just sees things. That's all. And so then his eyes open, and when they open, he sees. We assume that he knows Cobra's on their way, so he could probably hear the rotors or sense them or somehow know that there's trouble in the air. So that's awesome. I do love that idea that Spirit's this human watchdog that, when he's on duty, he's better than anything the tech guys can come up with. There was a problem in the second to last panel here, though. They colored his eyes incorrectly. His eyes are supposed to be shut, so they should be the same color as Spirit's flesh, but they're not. They're kind of colored like they're open, so they're kind of white, but there's no pupil, so it just looks weird. So that's like you're reprinting this, you would fix that, because then that would make that last panel pop where his eyes are now open, and they're supposed to be closed the whole time. So anyway, it's a little bit of an error. We've also got a torpedo profile page, which is really fun and really out of blue. I believe that's a Mark Bright drawing of Torpedo. It looks like it to me. It's a one pager, which normally these are two pagers, but I love it, giving Torpedo the love. Yeah, he was always a dude that I never had until actually very recently. I finally got my Torpedo. I'd never had him as a kid, and I've always liked him. He always looks great. He's got a great name. He's got a great outfit, great toy. So that's really cool. And then we got a post box, kind of a truncated post box, because there's also a Live the Adventure Enlisted G.I. Joe Special Forces Fan Club advertisement. And we've got letters here from Roy Graybeal out of Oak Harbor, Washington. Jamie Butler, address withheld by request. Jamie, wherever you are out there, sending you the love. Josh Edge out of Ellerton, Georgia. So that's it. Next issue, Cobra, hit, be there, don't miss it. Plus, I really want to find out what's up with Firefly. Did he really get taken by surprise? Was it just in case I get taken by surprise, come rescue me, and then we're going to leave? And I want to know what his game is, because it's got to be more than that, because he ain't getting any money from Cobra Commander. So that's it. I hope everyone appreciated it. Welcome. Enjoy the show. Appreciate you listening. And you know how it goes. Now you Joe. And Joeing is half the battle.